I've just gotten elected to my third term in the Senate, so I've followed you over the last 13 years and appreciate what you bring to the discourse in discussing American politics. You're right about what Karen Handel had to say. She spoke, I think, for all of us in the Congressional delegation, and we have a great delegation. Republican and Democrat, urban and rural, all good and committed to what's best for Georgia. We're going to have our port deedened in Savannah because we Democrats and Republicans have worked together through 4 administrations to see to it we find that money. We're going to see to it that the drinking water in Atlanta is plentiful, we don't lose a water war to somebody for any reason, and that we have the right things happen for our state and our citizens. And we're going to do all we can to make sure that Georgia continues to prosper so that your business and your enterprise and all that you do is not only profitable but meaningful. But I've changed my whole speech that I was going to make today because of 4 experiences I've had in the last 24 hours. The first change is listening to Larry Sabato and listening to Karen Handel and their remarks about Charlottesville. One of the things that changed my thinking, too, was the town hall meeting I had last night when I learned a lot about what some people thought about my voting record. That's what they thought about it, by the way. And then I started reading some things when I got home last night because I couldn't go to sleep. And I was moved to say something today for all the reasons that Larry Sabato said what he said, for the humility and the poignance of what Karen said, for the feelings that Barry expressed in his introduction of me, but more importantly for what all of us as Americans really believe about this great country, the United States of America. You know, America is the greatest country on the face of this earth. You don't find anybody trying to break out of the United States of America. They're all trying to break in. And for a very simple reason, we're the last hope of peace, liberty, and opportunity the world has known. There is no other alternative for America. Have you ever thought about that? There's no, where would you go? What would be your best? I've had people call me and say, if you get elected, I'm going to go to Australia. Well, fine. But that's not an alternative to America. We have the greatest government, the greatest country, the greatest document, our Constitution that guides us. This is the place to be. Chris Clark, the president of a state chamber of commerce. Lingerfellow, this is the place to run a great bank. It's the place to build great aircraft at Lockheed Martin. It's the place to blow great crops and feed the world. This is a great country. But I'm reminded of what Benjamin Franklin was asked when he walked out of the convention that wrote the Constitution of the United States of America. When a citizen of Philadelphia approached him and said, "Mr. Franklin, what have you given us?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." I've always remembered that because that's really true. We have a republic. It has worked well for us, but it is ours to keep or ours to lose. And there are times in our history where we're confronted with challenges that if we looked the other way, if we didn't accept the challenge, it could cause us in effect to lose that republic, for which there would be no replacement. But Allah's trying to take everything that we have and everything that we had built. America is a great country. And what happened in Charlottesville, Virginia, didn't just happen in Charlottesville, Virginia. It happened in America. You know, there's the great words of Martin Luther King in his letter to the Birmingham Concerned Clergy, in his letters from the Birmingham jail, had some of the most direct quotes I've ever used in my speeches to make points that I could never have thought of myself. One of them was just on things like Charlottesville, when he said to the black ministers who were urging him to slow down, "Don't push the movement too fast. We know we don't want to upset folks." He wrote back and said, "Injustice in America anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." Charlottesville is one of those examples. What happened in Charlottesville was in Virginia. It was on the campus of the University of Virginia, or close to it. A small town in Virginia. It wasn't next door to us, but it might as well have happened here. Because if things like that start happening around our country, we begin to lose the greatest country on the face of this earth. I want you to think about something for a second. In 2008, Barack Obama was elected President of the United States. I voted for his opponent. I didn't vote for Barack Obama. I worked as hard as I could for the Republican nominee, but the Republican nominee didn't win. Barack Obama did. He got elected President of the United States 150 years after the United States fought a war over slavery. 50 years after the United States passed laws to allow African Americans the right to vote and the liberties they enjoy today. Not a shot was fired, not a life was, well, there were lives lost, but they were not lost in a fair fight, they were lost in a bad fight. He became president of a country as an African American that had changed from what it was to what it became because we had a Constitution and we had a heart that knew that freedom and liberty and peace were what all of us stood for and what all of us wanted, and knew the rights and the strength of every single individual, regardless of race, color, creed, or sex, or national origin, was equally important in the eyes of the Lord and in the eyes of liberty. So in my brief chance to talk to you, the Georgia Chamber of Commerce, that I've been proud to be a member of for over 40 years, the great business we enjoy in our state is in large measure because we're a part of a great country that's governed by a Constitution known as the Constitution of the United States of America. And there are times in our lifetime when we'll be called upon to do those things we need to do to preserve that Constitution, protect that country, and continue the republic that we have. Charlottesville just may have been a warning shot to all of us to not look the other way. Because if you look the other way on things like that, and you turn around to look the other way, you might see it there. And pretty soon it's not an isolated incident, it becomes a repetitive habit. Peace, liberty, and respect for fellow man is something that all Americans enjoy, but is only preserved by all Americans working and fighting for it. So as a member of the United States Senate, as a member of the greatest delegation in the United States Senate, as a paying dues payer member of the Georgia Chamber of Commerce, as a 72-year-old Georgian with 8 grandchildren, 3 children, and a love for country as great as any in this room, I recommit myself to see to it that in any way I can, I'm going to see to it that the hate, the bitterness, and the picture that was painted in Charlottesville is not painted anywhere else in this country or any other country on the face of this earth. Because remember what Franklin said, we have given you a republic if you can keep it. Good Lord willing, the creek don't rise, we're going to keep it. God bless America.